What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown, and if you're new here, welcome. Yeah, I know, you probably saw the disgusting Band-Aid on my finger. It's not really a Band-Aid. My quick nobody cares story, I'll just get it out of the way real quickly. Basically, the front door is super hard to close, and so when I was trying to close it, of course, I get my finger and I cut it, and to make matters worse, I didn't even have a legitimate Band-Aid, so the only thing I could use is just this giant thing, and so, yeah, that's why it looks like that, in case anyone was wondering. But anyway, we're gonna get into your mailbag questions, and there's a ton of them. Like, literally, there's like 20 plus questions. And I have to thank each and every one of you for sending me all the questions. It's going to be a fun one. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Falcon08 asks, why do you underestimate the Falcons so much? We got so much talent this offseason and you expect us to win 8 games. We had 7 wins last year and had a way harder schedule, and we didn't really lose anyone important over the offseason. Casey Hayward was out most of the year. What do you not like about the Falcons right now? Great question. Now, the only thing that I don't really understand, though, is like when people say, why do you not believe in Arthur Smith? I've seen some of those float around the internet, too. I just don't really say anything because I'm like, but wasn't that the one criticism everyone had of me last year, was that I was too high on Arthur Smith? And that my Twitter banner, ever since like what, week 2 of last year or something, in Arthur Smith we believe or we trust or something like that. So I don't really know where the whole narrative of I don't believe in Arthur Smith came from. But anyway, why do I not believe in the Falcons? I'm just gonna say that I actually do believe in the Falcons. I just don't think that I'll say that if they get 11 wins, that would surprise me. 10 wins to me is actually possible. The only reason I don't predict it is because I just don't really know what to make of Desmond Ridder as a full-time starter, and our defensive coordinator, I think, is going to do great things for us. But he is still kind of young, right? Like, he's kind of new to this. That's it. That's really all it is. Like, the only reason I'm not predicting them to get 11 plus wins like a lot of other people is really just because of that. Like, it's really just because I'm not quite sure what to make of Desmond Ridder yet, and that our defensive coordinator is kind of young. But I'm not saying that this team can't be a playoff team. I actually, honestly, at the end of the day, I kind of predict that they will be a playoff team. I think that even with 9 wins, they could possibly win this division, and the NFC is just such a weaker conference. And I like the direction of this team. This run game is going to be very historic. I think it's going to be one of the most historic run games you've ever seen. I believe in Arthur Smith to turn careers around like Kyle Pitts and Drake London. And even though I just said I'm not sure what to make of Desmond Ridder, I'll also say that I think he's got the perfect coach to work with if he wants to develop, and that is in Arthur Smith. So a Desmond Ridder breakout season, or at least just a good season from, it doesn't have to be a breakout season, just a good season from Desmond Ridder could be possible from Arthur Smith. So I actually do believe in the Falcons. I just, 10 wins, it wouldn't like shock me. I'm just not predicting it at the moment. But 11 wins or more, that would shock me. That would kind of be like, okay, I guess I was way lower on this team than I guess, I thought they were going to be. Terry Turner asked, what's your thoughts on the Falcons' first preseason game against your brother's team? Who's the evil twin? #RiseUp. The preseason Falcons and Dolphins games are more just kind of funny because my brother and I joke about this a lot. He says this in a very joking way, but he's like, shocker, our time watching the Falcons and Dolphins, the first time we watched them play in the regular season was in 2017, the Dolphins win. Every time they play in preseason, the Dolphins win. But no, of course, the one time the Falcons beat the Dolphins is the one game we pay tickets to see in person. And so I just was like, well, that was meant to be. I never see the Falcons beat the Dolphins until it's time to see them in person. So that was just kind of funny. But the Falcons and Dolphins, I think it's going to be an awesome game. We got two potential playoff teams facing each other anyway, so that's already the exciting part. And then they usually are at least relatively fun preseason games to watch, just the Falcons and Dolphins. And then what was it? I think they're hosting like joint practices now, aren't they? Like I'm thinking about maybe having me and my brother, I mean, no promises, but me and my brother maybe will go to see those joint practices. No promises, but that would be kind of cool to see, and maybe I could vlog my time there and tell you what I saw. But and as far as who's the evil twin, I'm not really sure. I guess it depends on who you ask. It really just depends on who you ask. If you ask people that watched my schedule predictions video, they'll probably say that I'm the evil twin. If you ask someone that doesn't like Lawson's Dolphins content, I guess he's the evil twin. So I guess it really just depends on who's the evil twin. But regardless, it'll be an amazing game. That one Falcons fan asked a lot of questions. Number one, which games do you think we will wear our throwback jerseys and gradient jerseys? By the way, the gradient jerseys are very underrated. I don't know why they don't wear them more. I actually this is an unpopular opinion, but I actually kind of like the gradient jerseys more than the all black jerseys. I just think that the all black jerseys are a little I don't know, there's not a whole lot of life to it, but I at least like that the gradient jerseys have a little bit of creativity. You got the red and then it fades into the black. I kind of think it's cool. And it represents our alt colors in a way. I don't know. I guess that's an unpopular opinion, but I mean the throwback jerseys are the best ones of them all. But which ones are we gonna wear our throwback jerseys? I don't know. Maybe we could wear them versus the Vikings. I guess I can see that. Or versus the Saints. Sometimes we like to wear our throwbacks versus the Saints, I think. And then I'm probably just thinking of a game recently where they did that, and I guess I just assume that they do it all the time or something. But and then our gradient jerseys, I don't know. Maybe we could wear our gradient jerseys versus. It's definitely not going to be versus a red team. We're not going to wear them versus the Bucks or the Cardinals. We're probably going to have to wear those versus maybe not really sure. I'm trying to think of just one more guess. I guess it's anyone's guess, but yeah, I mean, either way, it'll be exciting to see those jerseys be worn. Maybe the Jaguars. I mean, we did wear the gradient jerseys in London before. I saw a top 40 QB ranking that had Ritter dead last and Stroud, Young, and Richardson in front of him. And why the heck is that? Do folks hate on Ritter that much? Wow, I did not see that list, but that is kind of disrespectful. Desmond Ritter, okay, so I know I literally just said that I'm not sure what to make of him, but geez, dead last of all the starting quarterbacks. I don't know about that. I'm not trying to be biased. I genuinely think that's really harsh. He really did get better as the season went on, and he's got the perfect talent surrounding him to get better. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Arthur Smith to even develop him. And then you got the rookies in front of him. Now, sure, are there some rookies that'll take off in year one? Yeah, it happens a lot. But to put him over Desmond Ritter, I mean, maybe one rookie quarterback, maybe one rookie quarterback could do better, Bryce Young, maybe, I don't know, but I don't know about CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. I mean, that's kind of that's pretty harsh to say that a lot of rookie quarterbacks are going to be better than still a young quarterback in Desmond Ritter. So I don't know. That's harsh. Which free agent do you see as a breakout candidate? Jesse Bates, literally no questions asked. He's got the best secondary he's probably had to work with, right? AJ Terrell, and then we bring in Jeff Okudah, and I also know I said that I wasn't sure what to make of our new defensive coordinator this early on, but I do think that he's going to utilize the pass rush very well, and the pass rush is going to help the secondary a lot. And Jesse Bates is going to benefit from that, and, well, he's Jesse Bates. So I think Jesse Bates is pretty easily going to be our breakout candidate. With Bijan now on the team, do you still see Tyler Algier getting a handful of snaps? Yes, I really do. I think people are like forgetting Tyler Algier in a sense, like not completely, but I really do think that Bijan's going to get a lot of snaps. I'm not saying that he's not going to play. But I mean, I don't know. I've always just been saying, I think it's a little disrespectful that Tyler Algier is just not going to get possibly the starting spot. I mean, I get it. Like, Bijan Robinson was this elite talent, one of the best players to ever come out of an NFL draft in a long time. Like, you know, I get it, but I don't know. I'm like, but didn't he just run for 1,000 yards? Like, if he's not going to start, at least just give him a lot of snaps. You don't want Bijan, the rookie, getting every snap possible. Like, hold on, he's got to sit down and watch and learn a little bit. I know we expect him to be great, and I do think he's going to have a 1,000-yard season in Bijan Robinson. I do. I think he's going to have 1,000 yards, maybe even more. So I think he's going to be just as good as everyone advertises, but at the same time, I'm like, but he's kind of a rookie. Like, don't you want him to sit and learn at least a little bit? So, I don't know. I think Tyler Algier should get a lot more snaps. Who will have more touchdowns, Drake London or Kyle Pitts? It's kind of hard to say Kyle Pitts in this point in time, right? Like, because they have not really found a way to utilize him. I expect that this is finally going to be the year where they utilize him. Like, I do think that getting Jonnu Smith and possibly moving Kyle Pitts to receiver was an indicator of Arthur Smith going like, all right, let's utilize this guy the right way. We literally picked up him 4th overall. We don't want him to go to waste. Like, Bijan Robinson was an elite talent we picked up, but people like need to remember that Kyle Pitts was also an elite talent we picked up. We don't want that to go to waste. And so I expect him to be getting a lot more touchdowns, but it's still hard to predict at the moment, so I'll say Drake London. How many passing and rushing touchdowns will Ritter have? Rushing, I'm not expecting a lot of rushing touchdowns, only because that's probably going to belong to Bijan and Tyler Algier and even Cordero Patterson. But nonetheless, I do expect Ritter to get those rushing touchdowns. Maybe like 6 or so. Like, again, most of the rushing touchdowns I think are going to belong to the running backs. Now, the passing touchdowns, now this is going to sound like a bad thing. It's honestly more of a good thing. I don't think his passing touchdown statistics are going to be as high as we think, but hold on, let me explain. For one thing, let's be honest. I think the Falcons are making it pretty clear that their main focus is to run the football. So I think that the majority of our offense and the majority of our scores is going to be all on the running game. I think Bijan and Tyler Algier are going to combine for so many touchdowns, like a crazy amount of touchdowns. So when I say that Desmond Ritter's touchdown ratio isn't as high as it might, seem, like, it's not really a shot at Ritter. It's more of just like me praising how good this run game's going to be. Might even make a video going over how good I think this run game will be. But how many passing touchdowns do I think he's going to get? I mean, I still think he's going to get a lot, maybe like 15 or 16. Like, I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but again, I just think that the majority of our offense is going to be running the ball. And also, let's be honest, this is Desmond Ritter's first year starting. I don't expect him to just break out and be like Patrick Mahomes in his first year starting. So I think he's going to start, not like that slow, but just a little slow, but he's going to pick up the pace, and I think he'll be just fine. But yeah, 16, 17 touchdowns passing, and then 6 rushing touchdowns, because I expect maybe like a lot of QB sneaks from Arthur Smith as well. So I don't know. If Ritter takes us to the divisional round, is that enough to prove to you that he is the guy? Absolutely. Like, literally, why is that a question to anyone that doubts him? Like, he's like Jalen Hurts if that happens. Like, Jalen Hurts was not a first-round quarterback, but he had the fire in him to get better, and, well, he led that team to the Super Bowl, and Whether you think it was an overpay from the Eagles to give him that much money or not, I mean, he worked a lot better than Carson Wentz. So if Desmond Ridder takes this team to the divisional round, like you said, honestly, to me, I think even if you just take them to the playoffs, like just a simple playoff run, you don't even have to win the playoffs. I think that's enough for Ridder to be the guy. Unless it's kind of like, last year's NFC South where, sure, Tom Brady won the division, but it's not like he really played all that well. Like, I guess that would be a little bit of a different story. Like, if Desmond Ridder, won the division by default, but he didn't really play that well, I mean, I still think you give him another shot in 2024, but, you would be questioning quarterback, I guess. But I expect him to be just fine, and if he plays like how I'm expecting to, I think he'll have a good season, then I think you can consider him the guy, even if you just make the playoffs. Who will record more sacks? Bud Dupree, Onyemata, Kenan Ellis, or AK? Honestly, I'm pretty high on AK. I think Arnold Ebiketie is a very slept-on player right now. I think he's a young player working with the best surrounding veteran talent. He's got Grady Jarrett, Calais freaking Campbell to work with, David Onyemata, Ryan Nielsen, I think should develop this pass rush pretty well. And Arnold Ebiketie was only a second-round pick. That's still a pretty talented player if you can get him in the second round. I think he's going to have a lot of sacks this year. How many? I don't know. Maybe 7 or 8. Maybe. I mean, that's just a guess. But, that's pretty good for a guy in his second year, I would hope. Which division rival will we sweep? All right, so hear me out. But I do genuinely think the New Orleans Saints. I really do. Now, the Saints have talent. This is not me saying that we're going to sweep the Saints because they suck. But for one thing, we have a lot of, players and staff members from the Saints. You don't think there's at least a little bit of a revenge factor from them? Okay, you didn't want to pay me. I'll show you your loss. Kind of like what ATL Will said in our latest schedule predictions video. Kaden Ellis and all these people, there's going to be a little bit of that fire in them to be you didn't want to pay me? I'll show you what you lost. Terry Fontenot knows that team well. Ryan Nielsen knows that team well. So that's just one thing. Two, I love Derek Carr as a person, but the Falcons really don't struggle against that dude. We usually play really well against Derek Carr. So that's honestly why, I really do think we actually can sweep the Saints. In fact, I even predicted that in the schedule predictions video with ATL Will. Now, the other teams, the Panthers, I think everyone is in agreement that, they're probably our toughest, division rival at the moment. I'm not expecting a sweep from them. They've made some good moves. And then the Bucs, they lost Tom Brady, and I'm not sure if Todd Bowles makes a good head coach, but I mean, they still have some of that Super Bowl talent. I kind of think, I don't think the Bucs are I don't think the Bucs are a playoff team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not predicting the Bucs to make the playoffs, but I think they are slept on a little bit. I don't think they're this bad team like everyone's making them out to be. So I think the Bucs are a bigger challenge than we might think, but that'll answer your question as to who we can sweep. It's the Saints. Which division rival will we split? Honestly, I expect to split both the Bucs and the Panthers. I just do. I mean, I guess I already explained it, but yeah, I guess I already said how I feel about that. But I really do think that we'll probably split the series with those two. Cortinez Holistic Fitness asks, how many interceptions do you think our secondary will be good for this year? Oh man, I don't know. I don't really know. I probably would have to really think about that. Because AJ Terrell doesn't really average a lot of interceptions. He's a very good corner, but he doesn't really average a lot of interceptions. He really only gets 3 a year. And then Jeff Okudah also doesn't average a lot of interceptions. Jesse Bates, I mean, I guess I didn't pay attention to how many interceptions he averages, but so I don't know. That one kind of just depends. But if our pass rush can benefit from Ryan Nielsen, maybe this secondary, I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to get a crazy amount of interceptions, but I think we'll get a decent amount. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think it just kind of depends on how well our pass rush can play, because it's not like our secondary really gets a lot of them in the first place. But I think it kind of just depends. But yeah, I probably would have to come back to that one. Archangel asks, who has the most pressure on them to perform highly on the defensive side this year? I guess Jeff Okudah, like, they kind of just picked him up because it's like, all right, let's see what you got. Let's see what you can do. Just prove yourself. And I think the Falcons are definitely a team that's not all that scared to replace that dude. Like, they picked up, the corner from Utah. So maybe if, I keep wanting to say Isaiah Oliver. Jeff Okudah. I keep wanting to say Isaiah Oliver for some reason, but if Jeff Okudah doesn't perform that well, I don't think the Falcons would hesitate to put in Clark Phillips. So, maybe Jeff Okudah has a lot to prove this year. Archangel asks, let me say this first. I definitely believe in Desmond Ridder, but the question is, if he struggles a few games, do they eventually take him out like they did with Mariota? And if so, in how many games would it take this time? Thoughts? I actually agree. Like, I do believe in Desmond Ridder, but if he struggles pretty early on, surely it can't be 13 games in like with Mariota, but I don't know. I think it would basically feel like it's like halfway through the season, like maybe like 6 or 7 games in is when they would put in Taylor Heineke, probably. That's my guess. I guess it would maybe take like 6 or 7 games. Because, Desmond Ridder, at least he's not a first-round quarterback to where it's like, the pressure is really, really on him. But you still want him to perform pretty well. Archangel asks, do you have any good ideas of who your possible new co-host could be yet? Unfortunately, I do not. I haven't really found anyone yet. The search is still on. There's a lot more interviews coming in. In fact, I'm going to be on Out of Your Falcon Mind podcast today, like literally at 7 p.m. Don't miss it. I'm going to be live talking with them. Just wanted to get that out there. There's a lot more interviews on this channel coming in. I know they don't count as co-hosts, but, because, they're kind of just here for a video, but they're not here for like the majority of the channel. So as far as co-hosts go, not quite sure, but there's more interviews coming. Not really sure if I have a specific date for when those interviews are going to come in, but I'm just saying that they're coming, and the co-host is still on the search. Archangel asks, which player will surprise us on our defense this year? Let's see. Honestly, I'm still going to say Arnold Ebiketie. I really do think that he's going to be really good this year. Again, the surrounding talent is there. And he's got the defensive coordinator to help him develop. He's still young. I'm going to have to say Arnold Ebiketie. I really do believe in him. And didn't he I must be mistaken, but I think he got injured last year. But before he got injured, he played pretty well. So there was the second round talent that he showed for a little while. So I think he'll bounce back. Archangel asks, who has the most pressure to perform on the offensive side this year? I mean, it has to be Desmond Ridder, right? It has to be. Like, it's not like he's a first-round quarterback, so the expectations aren't crazy high for him, but you still want it to perform pretty well. And he's got a monkey on his back with Taylor Heineke, and if he doesn't perform well in 2023, I think it's pretty obvious that the Falcons are going to want to go for quarterback. They know that Desmond Ridder was only drafted in the 3rd round. Desmond Ridder knows that that's like kind of a lot to not really worry about, but just a lot to like prove, I guess. Like, it's like, okay, I was only a 3rd round quarterback. Let's prove that I'm better than that. So I think Desmond Ridder's got a lot to prove. Archangel asks, who will be the most improved player on our offense this year? Probably Desmond Ridder, but let's find someone else, because I feel like we're talking about Desmond Ridder a lot. I will go with, I'll have to go with Kyle Pitts. I think that moving him to possibly receiver and maybe utilizing him a lot more is going to be a pretty big, comeback year for Kyle Pitts. And hopefully we can see that, first round talent that we saw a glimpse of in his first year, but then in his second year, it wasn't. I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't there, but we just, he got robbed of how disappointing his statistics and his overall season could have been. Or I guess it was, and it could have been better. So I guess we'll say Kyle Pitts. Who will be the most improved player on our Falcons defense this year? I guess it's hard to say AJ Terrell because it's like, he's a good player, but let's be honest, he didn't have like a great season last year, so I guess you could say AJ Terrell will be an improved player. No, I'm sorry. Richie Grant. I think he's going to be an improved player in 2023. And the reasons are probably what you're thinking. He's got a great surrounding talent to work with, a pass rush to help him benefit. He's still a young player. He's still a second-round pick. I think he'll be just fine. And I think he also knows. I mean, I really liked Jalen Hawkins, but the Falcons replaced him pretty quickly with one of the bigger names. And I think, Richie Grant is kind of looking at that like, I don't really want to be next. I think Richie Grant could probably improve this year. Archangel asks, will you be purchasing a Bijan jersey this year? And if so, are you going to be purchasing the Bijan mustard to go on your hamburgers and hot dogs? Also, that's a fun question. I never really get player jerseys. I really only get my custom jerseys where it has like the rundown in the back, and I put jersey number 19 because the channel started in 2019. It's kind of just, I don't know, it's me being creative, I guess. But Bijan Robinson, I don't know if I'll get his jersey, but I would be open to it. It's kind of been it's been a long time since I got a Falcons jersey. Like the last Falcons jersey I got was honestly, I think it was Julio Jones. I think that was the last jersey I ever got. So I could probably use another Falcons jersey. And maybe Bijan's the guy. Now, could I get the mustard to go on my hamburgers and all that? Oh, yeah, no brainer. Archangel asks, who will surprise us this year on the offensive side this year? You know what? Matthew Bergeron could be maybe a surprise this year. I mean, a lot of people did have high expectations on him, and a lot of people said that the Falcons, made a good choice to go pick him up. But Arthur Smith, I think, is going to do some nasty things, as in, he's going to be a nasty player on the football field and, beat defensive players up, is what I mean. But I think he's going to really make Matthew Bergeron succeed this year, and especially in run blocking. Archangel asks, when are you going to update your background and make it look more Atlanta Falconated? Yeah, it's bad when even my dad actually, after my interview with ATL Will, he called and was like, now I got to be honest and say a criticism. Your background is kind of lame. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I got some work to do. Now, when is it coming in? Well, hopefully soon. I guess I just gotta set some things up and hopefully it happens soon. So hopefully soon. AJ Evans asks, which free agent pickup will make the biggest impact? I mean, I guess I technically already answered, but, who did I? Oh yeah, I said Jesse Bates. But I'll say another one that I think could break out here. I think another free agent pickup that could really help us this year is in David Onyemata. Kind of just like Arnold Ebiketie, really. Great surrounding talent to work with. Ryan Nielsen. He's familiar with Ryan Nielsen, actually. He's worked with him, and it seems like Saints players really like Ryan Nielsen. So that's another reason I think he could break out this year, is because he's very familiar with him. Will Mendoza asks, what do you think about our linebackers? Do you think we'll be able to create turnovers? I think linebackers is maybe the one thing on defense that I look at and I'm like, we could maybe do a little better. I mean, Troy Anderson maybe could improve, but I guess we'll find out. And then Michael Walker, I I looked wrong about Michael Walker for a little while. Like, for a while, I looked like I was wrong for being low on Michael Walker. But I don't know. He hasn't really been, like, the greatest player last year, I guess. So will we be able to create a lot of turnover? I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think that's the one side of the defense to where I'm like, I don't know. Secondary, I'm not too worried about. Pass rush should be pretty good. Linebackers, we could probably do a little better, I think. Archangel asks, who will be the comeback player of the year? Kyle Pitts. No questions asked. He is hopefully going to get a shot at actually being utilized. Hopefully, if they move him to wide receiver. And Arthur Smith, I hope he doesn't have this secret hate towards him, because it's like, well, if you weren't going to utilize him, then why did you draft him 4th overall? So, I was more just joking about that. But yeah, hopefully Kyle Pitts can come back. Cool stuff I want to share. Ask, biggest threat in the division. Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young should probably be a pretty good rookie. He's the only rookie quarterback that I can see maybe being better than Desmond Ridder at the moment, at least. CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, like, I'm not, going to be, like, shocked if they're better than Desmond Ridder. I'm just not, like, predicting it. But Bryce Young, is probably going to be pretty good for them. Panthers got, the head coach, Frank Reich. Looks like Panthers are making some pretty solid moves. Archangel asks, what would you rank Ridder in the top 32 starting quarterbacks from 1 to 32? All right, so let's be honest. I'll be honest with this one. So he's probably not going to be ranked very high, only because, we haven't really seen what he's like yet. So I'm kind of just giving you a heads up. Like, it's probably not going to be this, super high ranking here, but I'll still also say it how it is. The only reason, at the very best, in 2023, I'm not saying this is what he's going to be like throughout the rest of his life. The only reason I'm saying he, at best, is a top 20 quarterback is just, like I said, like, this is his first year starting. So his first year starting, I'm not expecting anything crazy from him. And I also think that the statistics are going to look a little worse than they actually are, only because we are going to run the football a lot more than we are going to pass. So I think his statistics are going to be a little, like, overlooked. Like, it's like, okay, like, this was more just because we ran the football several times. But, yeah, I think top 20 at best, only because, like, let's be honest. Like, we don't really know what he's like yet. I believe he can be a lot better than that. But some things take time. Like, I don't think he's just going to be this top elite quarterback right away. I think he's going to have to take some time. But yeah, at the best, I guess top 20. Goldie Jr. asked, who has the most improved on our team this season? Desmond Ridder. I'm going to have to go with Desmond Ridder. Let's see what he's got. This video was all about Desmond Ridder, and I believe in Desmond Ridder. I think he's got the fire in him. He's just like Jalen Hurts. Like, He's got the fire in him to be better. I think he's got the right players around him and the right coaches to develop. And we'll just see where it goes. Hopefully Desmond Ridder can improve. Thank you all for the questions, and I will see you guys tuning in to Out of Your Falcon Mind podcast later tonight at 7. Do not miss it. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I will see you guys with some more shorts and some mailbag questions next week. Stay safe, and as always, rise up.